First thought, submit spirit before matter. Our celestial humanity arrives, awaking in a dream, an inception of our reality. So we live, we love, and then there is music. So we dance, we sing, we praise, we reflect. In the infinite in between, the now that was, faces dance in our dreams. Some familiar, some
Ascended Visions Radio.
Cosmic composition. In the irrelevance of this time, we realize the passion of the random action. Learning the lesson that the brotherhood of man is far more important than the ego of any individual. Imagination becomes the sound of thought, traveling at the speed of light. So we paint on the canvas of our ephemeral encounters with a masterpiece of memory that lives in the eternity of a child's.
Ascended Visions Radio. Ascended Visions Radio.
Ascended Visions Radio.
Hey,
E-Buck.
top of the day to you, Bilal. How are
E-Buck,
you,
brother. All right. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Are we actually recording? Or
Yeah. We on live. I mean, we live recording.
Okay, great, man. So how's you, man?
I'm good, man. I did a interview with Mama Neb, and that went great.
Really?
Man.
How is Mama Neb?
She's doing great, man. She's doing great. It was wonderfully awesome to interview her, and I learned a great deal about her history and our history through her and whatnot. And so that was wonderful.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I've been going, as you know, down here in the South in Florida since 2000, I think, 10, and I've missed home.
Okay.
In a lot of ways.
Yes, sir.
Florida for me, I know you didn't ask the question. Nonetheless, what's going off the top of the old man's head here is, I have, excuse that sound, I'm on my tablet at the same time. I have found that Florida is a oxymoron for this particular human being.
Okay.
I have found some parts of me that I didn't know about.
Okay.
Which are amazing.
Okay.
And I've found some parts of me that is very unhappy here because my time here, I have not really truly connected with any African Americans.
Okay.
Or really people of African descent here.
Okay.
That I feel, that's my opinion, has really got their heads screwed on right about who we are and the struggle of the African American people and the struggle of the African people throughout our diaspora.
Well, let me start off with this then. Having said that, with the political climate now and then, back when you were, now and then meaning yesterday, all of yesterday, and now like all of today, the recent days, the now am as opposed to the was is. Multiple administrations, how do they differ or similarize today?
Okay, I'll answer that question to the best and the most honesty of my ability. How I took that question was talking about the pretty much, I guess the way no matter how we look at it, religion, color, whatever, the political atmosphere of this country, is that what you're pretty much speaking of?
Yeah, just like the political climate as far as, social, religious, economic, all of that stuff, everything that has to deal with what everybody tries to sell us when they want us to vote for them and move with their agenda or whatnot, from back in the Nam to now and before then, the multiple administrations that you've experienced, and you're coming up on being an elder. You're not quite an elder, but you're coming up on being an elder.
I'm only 72.
That's coming up on it, but
I'm only 72. I got another 68 years to live, so I'll be an elder sooner or later.
Right. But just the multiple administrations you've experienced in those years, how are they similar or different? Or is it pretty much?
I think how they are similar is because the 99.9% of all politicians that are elected, they are not of African descent in any way. Not really, unless they got some mixed blood they're hiding. I look at everything is simple. Regardless of how much someone says they love you, no matter how much they say they're going to do for your community, although they only come into your church when it's election time, 99% of them are supremacists. That doesn't mean, even though they could be, or politicians could be, can't say they're all outright racist. They may have a bone in them, a spirit in them that may say, you know what? It hurts to see other people suffer. But it's like one Caucasian female professor had put it to, I don't know how long ago. I'll just paraphrase what this white professor said, a female professor. She stood in front of an entire auditorium of young people and asked the particular question. How many of you white people out there are ready to give up exactly what you have, in so many words, and take the place of a random person of color, a person of color? Nobody stood up. Nobody said a word. And she said, I hope you understand what I was saying. How many people out there are willing to take the place of people of color right now? Nobody stood up. And in so many words, she literally said, you keep saying, I feel sorry for this one, I feel sorry for that, this is not right. But at the same time, you ain't open your mouth. So in other words, you're not willing to step up and really do the ultimate, is to say, hey, I will take your place. Even if it's just to know really what your story is.
Yeah.
How I put politicians, to break it all down to this. Politicians are not guided but by their own mind, except their greed. And that includes black, African American politicians. None of them are willing to really do what the constituencies want. That's all politicians, including black, African American, Puerto Rican, whoever you are, politicians. If you are in D.C., if you are in city council and you are not calling for meetings with your constituents at least a couple of times a year, but I would say once a month, your representatives are in the community saying, what am I doing right and what am I doing wrong? And to the day you do that, you're nothing but a pawn, and you know it, and you don't give a damn about your people or any other American people. That goes for white and black politicians. Look at it. It's simple. We have, I hope that the community will point me out wrong if I am saying the wrong thing, because when I say something, I want dialogue back. Not even our vice president is innocent, and she's an African American.
Right.
She was along with Biden when they wrote that whole 3 strikes and you're out deal.
Right.
So that there are innocent black men and women and people of all brown colors, and including some unfortunate, as they would say it, whites, who are felons now because they had 3 simple misdemeanors.
Right.
How cold-blooded is it? Our politicians right now, they are not interested in anything except keeping the tide of my race and your race against each other. I have ridden with, I would say, predominantly Caucasian motorcycle organizations. I've been around probably quite a few motorcyclists that you would consider outlaws. And not that their name is outlaws, but their activities are outlaws.
Yeah.
I've been around them, and they're no different than anyone else. However, so many, including the organization I ride with, I find racism. I find the organization that I ride with, which name I will not give up, because I'll be honest with you, I love them dearly because we have one thing in common. We're combat veterans, and our organization is about veterans helping veterans, nothing else. We don't run prostitution, we don't sell drugs, we don't do none of that. They love this particular member. They call me Gazoo, like the cartoon character. My road name is Gazoo Voodoo because of my religion. Nonetheless, I look at them and they will have my back, not because I'm black, but because I'm a veteran, because I'm a combat veteran, not one that sat behind the table, not one that worked on jet engines on airplanes, not one that, this, that, and the other, but actually in your face combat. That's my history. And I find that they love me for that. But there's always a question amongst most of my Caucasian associates, and I would say friends and some family. They look at me different when it comes to my actual who I am in my skin color, who I am in my diaspora of being an African American, Native American person in this universe. They look at me different for that because I take them to task when stupid crap comes out of their mouth. So I look at the politicians and everything around a lot different than I used to when we first met, Bilal.
Okay.
when I first met you, yeah, I was a straight up revolutionary kind of person, straight up activist kind of person. However, down here, if I were to do that outright, this would be an interview probably talking about how I was murdered down here. It's that deep how I see everything in my life right now. You know, now back to politics. We have not had, regardless of what you think of them, we have not had a politician in the White House since Carter. That's my opinion. If there's anybody out there who wants to debate that, they know how to find me. And we can always have dialogue on it. We have not had a decent leader since him, because I truly believe that in that man's heart, talking about Jimmy Carter, is that I really think that his spirit was at a point where he didn't want to see colors at all. The rest of them, yes. Obama, there was a few things I didn't like about him, but I respected him, loved him, and gave him my heart because he was the first of our kind to actually take the oath.
Yeah.
I listen to people that I ride with. I listen to white folks that I've been around since I've been in the South here. Talk buku crap about him. Oh, he's not a real American. Oh, he's a Muslim. So what if he's a Muslim? Doesn't matter. One country under God. It didn't say Jesus. It didn't say Allah. It didn't say Obatala. It said one country under God, who has a bunch of names that we can't even pronounce. So I look at it right now that our politicians are playing games. None of them are in control of themselves. When they take that oath, this is my opinion, and I will stick with it to the 100 years from now when I'm closing my eyes. Before they even put their hand up in public, they've already put their hand up behind the table saying, these are the secrets that you're going to keep. These are the organizations that you will not betray. This is da-da-da-da-da-da, whatever it is. They're already in control when they come out and take the oath. So I'm going to make this better for you tomorrow. And then how many times have we seen it? Yep. Tomorrow was almost at the end of my term. And you still didn't get it all because they are not in control of what's done in this country. The same people that control Europe. The same people that control a lot of stuff. I think the only one separate from them would be Asia. Speaking of China, Burma, anything with a Chinese rule is that. You go to Burma. You go into Burma, from what I hear, and I could be wrong, is that if you're not a Christian, you might get your head cut off. So it shows me one thing very interesting. It don't matter who you are. Religion can destroy a lot when it comes to people. Christians came into this continent destroying Native Americans, burning witches, cutting off the hands of Africans that came with rhythm in their hands to play congas to try to keep up with the sacred spiritual walk such as Yoruba, Ifa. They have been there to destroy all of that. So what's new?
Yeah.
Bilal, I've kept up with you for many, many years. I've kept up with your sister, who I deeply and belovedly love. She's family to me. Before I met you, you remember? Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot go down. Here's another thing we want to talk about.
So let me ask you that with all this, along the same lines, how do you think black people, how should black people effectively navigate through systemic racist societies?
Good question. And not sure how to properly answer that because my thoughts, spirits, and if there's a soul, are all over the place. I'm pretty well embedded in every people, including Caucasians. I'm very, restate that question again.
How should black people effectively navigate through systemic racist societies?
Let's put it this way. Come together, mofos. Come together. Don't separate. How we get past it? This is not the 1930s, 40s, or 50s where we could get burnt out just like that. Where Black Wall Street becomes a piece of history that is totally hidden from our own people. It's simple. Regardless of what your religion is, regardless of what your feelings are about anything around us in this country and around the world, come together, people. We could build banks. We could build another Wall Street if we took all of our funds, as much as you can give, and come together financially. Religiously, I'll say it to all the religions out there, screw you, including my own. Screw you. Quit playing with the people. Farrakhan. I can't stand them, but guess what? That brother has more history and truth than a lot of people I know. We need to stop looking at what the religion is saying and what the human being is saying. We need to come together. It doesn't matter if we're Yoruba, Christian, no matter what part of Christianity. It doesn't matter if we're Wiccans or witches. And yeah, we got a lot of black Wiccans and witches out there. It doesn't matter if you're Hebrew. It doesn't matter what. We need to stop fighting each other and come together and have a thinking tank that will create financial stability beyond it. We need to stop buying Folgers coffee. We need to stop buying Maxwell House. We need to do what I was doing years ago before I even came to Detroit. Yeah, my story is a pretty screwed up story on that, but the idea and the plan was there. Take over the coffee industry. There's not many commodities that bring us more money than coffee, even on the actual list, except drugs.
Yeah, I just bought a $15 bag of coffee beans today. I was like, Lord have mercy. Coffee is going on through the roof, bruh.
And guess what else, brother?
And it said Ethiopia, Brazil, Colombia, and Guatemala. And I was like, I hope they getting some money from that.
Well, the thing is, they can get all the money they want, and yeah, they are countries of color, like Africans are people of color. But guess what? For all those listening to this and did not know, take back your legacy. Okay, what did I mean? What did I mean? Take back your legacy. Coffee was discovered in 200 A.D. by an Ethiopian goat herder. It belonged to Africa. Coffee grows all over Africa, but the best coffee grows in East Africa. Ethiopia.
Yes, sir.
And Kenya.
Yes, sir.
I used to have a coffee company called Aromatic Blend Coffees. We were one of the few African American, we were one of, I think, 10 or 12 African American coffee businesses in the country that were actually roasters. Here's the thing with coffee. When those goat herders discovered coffee, and I know we're a little bit off the subject of politics.
Go ahead.
But this is all politics. Coffee is one of our biggest politics, and I'll tell you why. When the Arabs finally got into that area and realized what it was, they took over the commodity of coffee. Europe could only get coffee through the Arabs. That's right, through the Arabs.
That's true.
could only get it through. But some greedy Arab, like we have greedy people in every life, decided that they were going to sell coffee in its seed form, in its bush form, and they smuggled it out to the Europeans. The Europeans didn't have anywhere to grow it. So guess where they grew it? All through the New World.
Yeah.
Colombia, Jamaica, Brazil,
Guatemala, Costa
Guatemala.
Rica.
That's why so many African American fools think that coffee comes from Colombia. No.
Right.
The only reason that we look at it that way is because Colombia subsidizes their coffee, and they call it Colombian coffee, no matter what brand they are.
Yeah.
Coffee came from Africa.
Yes, sir. Everything came from Africa.
That's right. I have an ex who I don't really care for. She can go do whatever she wants. Her name was Julia Coker. She was an amazing African-American woman. We had our own issues. We started aromatic blend coffees. However, it came to an end, and the whole time through that period, I'm trying to figure out how do I work with the growers in Ethiopia and Kenya and Somalia and all of the coffee growing, tea growing regions in East Africa. So I got together with a holding company. I won't say which one because they're out of New York, but they're the ones that all the coffee and everything comes into their holding place. And I talked with them. I said, hey, what if I can get you coffee much, much, much cheaper than what you're paying from when it comes into Europe? And they said, yeah, and they kind of chuckled. And they said, well, what's your plan? I said, I have some people that are willing to turn me on to some of the major growers of Kenyan AA and AAA coffee in Africa. And instead of bringing it, do the regular route. Now, let's rewind for a second. When coffee leaves Africa, it always ends up in Europe by ship container or whatever.
Yeah.
It stays in Europe. It sees 10 to 12 coffee brokers before it gets there, and then it sees another 10 to 12 coffee brokers and agents or whatever the hell they are before it comes to the United States. Each time it sees one of those, the price skyrockets. So what we're getting coffee for is 10, 20 times, whatever times more than what it is when it's first picked up from the grower. I wanted to come around the Horn of Africa and bring it directly into New York. The warnings I got from people were simple. Coffee is the largest, most lucrative, one of the most lucrative pieces of business that you could do.
Indeed.
It is one of the most valuable commodities.
Indeed. Time Magazine did a special issue on coffee in the trade. I got right here that I've been looking at the last couple of days because I was thinking about getting into the coffee business, but
I already was in the coffee business. I know the coffee business from the growing to the picking to the berry, and coffee was not coffee as we know it in the beginning.
It was a soup, wasn't it? They thought it was soup, wasn't it?
Close. No. Coffee, first of all, what we see as the coffee bean, that's the seed inside the coffee cherry or berry.
Yeah.
It was first fermented into a wine.
Yeah.
It gives you a little kick, like a little boost from what I hear. That's how it was forever, until somebody probably accidentally burnt something on, ooh, that smells kind of different, kind of good. So they started pressure cooking it, like they put it in a coffee press, I guess. And they came up with the coffee and
a percolator.
Right, yeah, they force the hot water through the beans, and that's where we come up with what we call coffee. That is what was taken into control by the Europeans, stolen from the Arabs. Jamaican Blue Mountain, I'll just quote off what I think probably right now is probably about $30 to $35 a pound, and I know well over $20 a pound. Yeah. You ever see people go to Jamaica and they come back, oh, I came back with Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? They're getting Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee, and yeah, they're getting it for the price that they wanted. But this is the thing about coffee, folks. Coffee shelf life is only 7 days after it's roasted. But the coffee bean is, it'll last forever. We need to come together and take over a nice hunk of the coffee industry. If anybody wants to know how, they can contact me through Bilal. Or you'll find me somewhere. It would be a easy peasy. One ship container of coffee, no matter how much it costs, probably about 1/4 or 1/3 of it is already paid for your container. Back in the day, would have cost me $50,000 to bring in one ship container. We're talking about the late 90s, the new 90s. $50,000. But 1/3 of that is already paid for. Guess what? The other 100,000 is all profit.
Wow.
Now, that wouldn't have cost me $50,000 if I had a consortium of people that looked like me that could have brought that in for, I would say, 3 times less than that. Because see, $50,000 is after going through all the European, African, the white African and the white European money changers before it even gets to the States, and then I buy it from a holding company in New York. That's enough to build universities. That's enough to build cities within cities. That's enough to buy. That's enough to buy any land in Florida or Georgia, hundreds of acres where we can grow our own food. Raise. If you're meat eaters, fine. Grow your own cattle without chemicals. We don't realize our economic power because we're too busy fighting over what we think we feel about the white man. I ain't gonna say screw him. Stop thinking about control and come. How many times have I had to say this, but I lost count. Come together, black people. It don't matter if you like Farrakhan or not. It don't matter if you like the new Black Panther Party or not. It don't matter if you are Yoruba or Christian of any of the genres of Christianity, or Buddhist, or you're a Wiccan or witch or a warlock. It doesn't matter what you are. We're all the same people. We need to, Bilal? Come together.
Yes, sir.
So, I don't have a whole lot to say.
Yeah, I think you answered that, and you also answered, you answered some of another question, relationships and how do we build them amongst people. You got any more to say along the lines of that question? How do we build relationships amongst people?
Yeah,
what are some things that they do? What are some things that they do?
Relationships of all the way down to like our relationship with each other in our neighborhood, our relationship with each other all the way down to our next door neighbors in our block, our own block, our next door neighbor, a guy across the street, the lady across the street. We have to stop. Back in the day when I grew up, I knew everybody in a 4-block radius. As a child, I could walk out the house as a 7 or 8 year old and not have to worry about anything because my grandmother knew when I was being bad before I even got back to the house.
Yeah.
We used to be involved with each other. We used to scold each other's children when they were wrong. We used to pull Billy's coattail when Billy Jr. was being a jerk on the street or in school or on the basketball court or being rude or being disrespectful to an elder or just another person.
Yeah.
We need to learn to go back a little bit, just enough, because I like what the young guys got, the young ladies got. I love them, man. Trust me.
Okay, so dealing with that, youth impact today and yesterday, how has it shaped the world? And you were the future then. How do you think your generation impact the future now? And how do you think the current generation will impact the future ahead in either parallels or paradoxes?
Yeah, that's really a tough question. I'm not sure how to answer it.
I mean, you know, youth impact today and yesterday, and how has it shaped the world? There's many ways that it shaped the world. I was wondering, how do you think that? And like you were the future back then, and how do you think your generation impacted the future, which is now? And then how do you think the current generation will impact the future ahead?
Because it's going to end up being the same way it was all the way back. Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, all of our amazing black cowboys and Buffalo Soldiers, our amazing African Americans, which are truly, really Native Americans, because they were already here when they were picking from dark Native Americans as they were slaves. Down the line, how do I feel about this? Because somebody dreamed Harriet Tubman in their dreams. Somebody dreamed Rosa Parks. Somebody's prayers, whether they were yelling out to Jesus or Legua at the crossroads, dreamed who we were and made those things happen. Not that they made their dreams a part of their life to get freedom. Right now, we need to dream more blacks. We need to, in other words, not just dreaming it, doing something about it. I don't turn back on no young boy. I don't care if his pants is hanging down off his ass. There's something in his heart that wants to know. There's something in my heart and in my wisdom that needs to tell him, rather than say, man, you need to pull that shit up. By the time I finish with him, he said his shit won't be sitting on the ground, because he'd be thinking about who he is and he'll know who he has. Hey, let's read a poem.
Yeah.
Because this poem matches. It's funny because I picked this before you called, and it's so on what I'm saying. So let's take it away from a personal female relationship to a community race relationship. It's simple. And I've had a couple of glasses of wine, and I had a little talk too. I don't care who knows. It's a part of life.
Right.
All those dreams we dreamed, all those hot moments never met outside of dream time. I dreamed us, Queen, and the power given to those on a plane of spirituality. I dreamed you, Black Queen, with a vision of who we truly are in this dimension of space, time, and anything relative. I'm dreaming us, Black, with hands touching bodies close and sweat sliding to a passionate rhythm with timing galaxies could not count. I dreamed you black, I dreamed you queen. And we touch as sweat runs down our bodies and maps, our hands touching every kissable inch from head to everywhere before feet. And we cry out as we find our sacred space and experience more of life than life could ever be seen nor felt in the world of being awake. I dreamed us, queen, as we ran like rivers, as the Orishas smile and spirits dance, samba and bunga as we run like mountain streams, and join as two wet lovers, exhaling into a lake of calm. And we awaken so far apart, and we remember. It's funny we came up with that, Bilal.
That's an excellent
That
piece.
subject, because I had, I got this. That's a work in progress.
Okay.
It's not even complete yet, but I want to say it like it is. That poem was inspired by one of our ancestors. You may have met him, I'm not sure.
Man, you looking like, it's like you reading my questions and you answering my questions. You like you reading my list without without me even saying them. You know, I was like, how has your spirituality guided you through the years? And music, art, poetry, photography, how important is it to you? How does it shape your world? You answering all these questions. I don't even have to answer them. You telling me like it is.
Yeah, well, do you remember the poet that used to come into Detroit sometimes, Sekou Sundiata?
Yeah.
Remember that poem he had, and there was one line in it that said, I dreamed you black, I dreamed you from the ancestors, I dreamed you black. That line has sat in my head since the first time I ever heard that brother read. God, the Orishas, all the powers in the universe, bless his spirit, his soul.
Wow, that's powerful.
But he passed away in the airport on his way to his first world tour.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, that was one brother that is only one other entertainer that even pushed my mind like that, and that was pretty much, he wasn't a poet, and that was Juma Santos.
Yeah.
But that line he had, I dreamed you black, is so powerful. It was only one other group of, I would say, poets and musicians that moved me more in Detroit than knowing Sekou Sundiata out of New York. And that was Kamari Turner with the Black Bottom Collective.
Yeah.
You remember Kamari?
Yeah. You talking about Kyrie?
Yeah, he had the Black Bottom Collective.
Yeah, Kyrie Kimani Turner.
Yeah, he worked he was a newspaper reporter.
Yeah, Black Bottom Collective. That was the name of they group, they band.
Yeah, I mean,
Tanisha and Sin was with him for a minute.
Yeah, I love those guys, and the thing is, they would never really truly accept it, in my opinion. He could come and correct me.
They were ahead of their time, man.
Yeah, they were way ahead of their times. Cause he could come and question me on it, but I played his CD for. I can't even think of how many hip-hop people. And they're like, man, where's this brother coming from? And he's being disrespectful because he was like the one poem, I'll never go sit in the house that was dirty again. Talking about, he'd never sit in the house with people doing, hitting up crack or whatever. I mean, he came to it like the truth, like the one line, he didn't, on New Year's Eve, with the firecracker, he didn't even know what his dogs was feeling.
Yeah.
Everything he said took me to task.
Wow.
just like Seacoups, Indiana.
Yeah, see, that's the only thing you have to be concerned about as a poet, is making sure you reach that one person. And when you reach that one person, your job is complete.
Yeah.
That's all you need, is to reach one.
Yeah. It was Detroit that taught me that.
Yeah.
And when I was in Philly, I was amongst the greatest poets that a new poet could ever be exposed to. Talking about Lamont B. Steptoe, is Kamika L.H. Williams, Sonia Sanchez, Antazaki Shange that wrote the thing with Color Girls that would
Yeah.
thought about. Yeah, I love that woman.
Color Girls consider suicide.
Yeah, I met her some amazing poets. The white guy in Philly, the baddest motherfucker on the horn that I know, Elliot Levine. Those were the kind of people that showed me that they had heart. We talked about how do we talk to the other side. Well, there are people like Elliot. You don't have to talk to the other side because they're talking to you, and it's dialogue. It's not like, well, why your people do this, and he's like on point. Bob Steptoe. Bob Small in Philadelphia. Same thing. All the great writers. See, writers out of Philly, they all write for freedom.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they all, but the majority. They're writing our saga. The white writers are writing our saga as much as they're writing their own, because they're saying, how could this happen? Look at the poetry community. It's a GD melting pot, bro.
Yeah.
It is a melting pot.
Yeah.
That's why I say dialogue's important. And that poem literally, that poem literally brought me to where we were. How we have to. It all goes back to Martin. I have a dream.
Yeah.
And guess what? He dreamed us. He dreamed a lot of stuff. A lot of us try to pull this bullshit about, well, Martin wasn't this, he wasn't revolutionary enough. No, he was right where the Orishas wanted him.
Yeah. Yeah. Say that, brother. Say that, brother.
Malcolm, man, Malcolm X, man, he was to this, that, and the other. He was right where Allah, the Orishas, God wanted him.
That's right.
He brought back a solid message that opened the eyes of not too many, should have been more, Caucasians. When he came back from Mecca and said, I just bowed down with Muslims of all colors, from all countries, that got him murdered. They tried to say that the Honorable, and I won't even mention his name, and Farrakhan and them got together with the FBI to set the brother up, right, and kill him. I couldn't believe that for years. And I don't like a lot of crap that Farrakhan and the nation ain't no different than any other religious movement. But for years, I really believed that Farrakhan and a whole bunch of other treacherous Muslims killed Malcolm. That's exactly what the FBI, that's exactly what the White House, that's exactly what the white supremacists, exactly what the racists wanted me to believe, so that I would have a division amongst a small part of my people. Divide and conquer.
Right.
And yeah, there's some evidence pointing that way, but guess what? It don't point back to any leaders in the Black Muslim movement. It may have been some individuals, but I don't believe that Farrakhan had anything to do with it. I think it was the honorable, whatever, Elijah Muhammad, the original head that Malcolm came under. Yeah.
Nah, it was a lot of stuff that people don't know. And when Malcolm came back, and the whole thing was Malcolm came back and made amends with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and everything was cool. And then when he started talking to Martin Luther King, and Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked to Martin Luther King, and Malcolm talked to Martin Luther King, and there was a unification going on where everybody was speaking the same language, and that's when they started to bump everybody off.
Well, see what happened. Are you familiar? Excuse me. Got a little cough here. I wonder what from. Anyway, remember there was a photograph of Malcolm and Martin, and they're standing next to a window, and both their heads are kind of slightly thrown back, and they are laughing their ass off. That photograph was taken by Jack Franklin. He was my photography mentor for the Philadelphia Tribune in Philadelphia. Don't get me wrong, I've been a photographer for many, many years. I've done motion picture photography and, stuff with Uncommon Valor with Gene Hackman, all kinds of stuff with Harry Mock, Bruce Lee's cousin, Grandmaster Harry Mock. God bless him. I love him. He's still alive. I hope it's going to stay that way. And my Chinese brothers, all my Chinese brothers, But when Jack Franklin took that picture, they were both kind of like peeping out of the window where they were, right? And they both, when they let the curtain go, one of the two of them said, we're going to die, right? And they both just broke out laughing and that's when Jack Franklin took that picture.
Wow.
So they were laughing at death. They knew that they were about to be the African sacrifices.
Yeah.
They knew it coming. They knew it coming. They saw it coming. And I had the honor to be one of Jack Franklin's last I would say successful photographers, where he became my mentor. I worked for the Philadelphia Tribune as a stringer, which means freelance photographer. I worked for them as a stringer, and there was a lot that they could not control as the Tribune. There's a lot of my work that they did not publish, including I left another job. Even though I had my own press credentials, even though I worked for the Tribune, I had left another job to go down when the Osage Avenue was burning with Move. I had a chance to go on the next day and look at all of that. Jack Franklin told me how to push the limit and all that stuff. But back to the question. Take the question back to the old man. I got CRS. That means can't remember shit.
Yeah.
But, back to the question. Will you put me back on that? I went rambling a little bit, which is awesome.
Well, yeah. I'm gonna add two of them together so you can expound on the whole complete. Because I'm just about finished here. I just got two more questions, but I'm gonna combine. There's three more, but I'm gonna combine two of them.
Okay.
And then probably give you a chance to share some more poetry. The first one is, as I said before, music, art, poetry, photography. How important is it, and how has it shaped your world? And also, holistic thought, life, and living. Holistic thought, life, and living. How is it achieved? And I got one more after that, I realized.
Give me that first part of that question again, so I'll make sure that's straight.
Music, art, poetry, photography. How important is it, and how has it shaped your world?
Yeah. You start with music. December 24th, 1969, I was discharged from the United States Army with a general under honorable conditions discharge because I raised hell about Vietnam while I was still in the Army. When I came home, son of a Baptist minister, my dad demanded that I be in before dark. It didn't matter if I'd been to Vietnam or not, so I left and went to New York City. When I went to New York, I went before every other guy coming back from these new wars came home with. It was PTSD. We just didn't know what it was then.
Okay, so I'll add that other question since you're going into that, the Nam in the military. What was it like and why the men war with one another? I'll add that one in there too.
But, well, we'll come back to that question.
Yeah. I just wanted to put that on your mind since you're talking about.
Yeah, put a little circle around that. But when I got out of the service, my dad, as much as I love him, much as he loved me, we weren't going to cork because, I just spent 19 months in Vietnam. I was one of those Negroes that dropped out of high school, joined the Army, and volunteered to go to Vietnam. And I'll be honest with you, one reason was simple. If you serve this country, I was stupid enough to think that when I came home, I could do whatever I want. I could live wherever I want. I don't have to worry about people looking at me like funny. You can't do this because you're black. Well, there was a lie, but that's what I thought. When I came home from Vietnam, basically what happened, I ended up moving to my aunt and uncle's house in New York City, Josie and Jimmy Pascal. And when I got there, I didn't have a job. I was fresh out of the military. So I got unemployment. After the first check, I found a job because I just couldn't just take money just for nothing. That's just how I felt. So I ended up with a job at Willoughby Peerless electronics store, where they sold computers and television. Well, not computers and televisions, cameras, that kind of stuff, stereo systems. Yeah. And I worked there, and while I was working there, on my days off, and after work, I would go down to Greenwich Village. I would go to Central Park, and got down there and met some people, and ended up meeting martial artists and people like that. Met Bruce Lee's people, whole bunch of people. Met people from all walks of life. Went to the Electric Circus a lot, and smoked weed a lot, and that's right. Did a little bit of LSD and all the shit back in the day. I'm a wild guy just getting back from Nam, and I found that the one thing that helped me the most with the way I felt and antsy was smoking weed.
Yeah.
So that kind of calmed me down with a lot of stuff, but PTSD still had me by the butt. Well, eventually I ended up in a band. I ended up finding out about the Yoruba Ifa Orisha, tradition, and became Yoruba. Ended up meeting other meeting musicians, and I ended up playing in a band as a
conga player. That's when you met Jumo Santos?
No, that's when I met Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, okay.
That was back when I met Hendrix. Met him at the Peppermint Lounge in New York City. What an amazing brother, man. I was also at the Peppermint Lounge when John Mink, the owner and manager, came up and asked us to stop the music, and he announced to us that Jimi Hendrix had died.
Wow.
I remember that night, and I forgot not how much longer he did the same thing. Only I didn't get to meet her. I would have loved to met that girl. Boy, I had some wild thoughts for her, and that was Janis Joplin.
Okay.
I don't care who says what. I'm a rock and roller too, not just this person that loves our jazz and funk and all that. But I'm a rock and roller, and I was heads over heels with the rock and roll blues that Janis Joplin did. Outside of that, I would say my favorite female singer at the time, and I got on that, and I wish she was still doing stuff, and that was Dinah Ross.
Yeah.
I don't know. God bless her for her life and everything she's doing, but I always wonder why she didn't do more. Music kept my mind and soothed me from Vietnam. And all through New York, I would take that one conga drum and I would go to Central Park and find myself on the bench and sit down and play that conga in the middle of the day. Because the only thing I did then after I left my full-time job was I rehearsed and did music on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night and made great money. There was times in New York that I could bounce from club to club and sit in for a set or two and make enough money where I went home with almost $60-$70 in my pocket. That's a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
That covered my everywhere I went. I didn't even get a cab most of the time, man. I caught the trains,
Yeah.
It was real late at night and the trains were running a little off, but basically I caught the subways everywhere.
Yeah.
But music changed my life, and then I ended up in Binghamton, New York, and got introduced to photography by Evangelos Dousmanis, who was I thought was a good friend. Be honest, he turned out to be quite an asshole, but and an untrustworthy friend. But just the same, an amazing photographer. So he taught me the first stuff I knew about photography at the Experimental Television Center in Binghamton, New York, when it was on Court Street. Now it's in Owego or Oswego or somewhere like that. And it was founded by a gentleman named Ralph Hocking. And he's a white cat that constantly blew my mind, constantly had my back, taught me more about composition and design than anyone yet. I think he's still alive. He was the first white cat that I met that told me all about Yoruba because he saw lekes around my neck. I said, wow, and that's when I realized we ain't the only ones that know about this.
Oh yeah, I mean when somebody conquered all the world religions and enslaved the planet, of course they know everything about it. They took it from everybody. I mean,
yeah,
that's basically what it is. It's like I don't look at Caucasians as like, I look at them like, hey, like Ife say, give me my shit back,
How is Ife? Yeah. That's one amazing brother.
I don't know,
man.
I haven't heard from him in a while. I gotta get in touch with him. I gotta find out what's going on with him.
I don't care what anybody says. Ife is the one brother I know in Detroit that walks his musical path the way he wants to.
Yes, sir.
And
Most
I
definitely.
admire him and honor him.
Yes, sir.
I honor him with my hat off.
Yes, sir.
I mean, him and I are quite different. But I'm going to tell you what, that's one brother I give the utmost respect to.
Yes, sir.
And I'll be honest with you, I give him respect like I give Juma. Why? Because he did what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
I got some amazing photographs of him. Really.
Yeah, Ife pushed the envelope and crossed over places on his own that some people spent years trying to get to, and he went in there and did his thing like, like this is what y'all want, this is what you got, and this is how I do it. And I can play with it. He said I can play with anybody, but can anybody play with me? That's how he put it, and he proved it.
I'll put it this way, Bilal. When I get back to Detroit, hypothetically, and it's more than hypothetically, but I've been offered an executive producer's job with a certain kind of entity down there.
Okay.
So when I get back, I'll be honest with you, man. I'm going to be looking to do some programming with Ife.
Yes, sir.
But Ife, like he says, can anybody play with me? I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to put some people together from different genres, and I'm going to throw them on the same stage and say, I want to see what y'all can do.
Yeah.
And that's going to be my show.
Yeah, there you go.
And hey, if y'all going to fuss, remember, y'all fussing on live programming, okay?
Right.
This shit is what it is. Right. Y'all want to talk about how you feel about music and each other, or what you think each other can do, bro? This is my show. Get it on. But I want to hear some funky music that has roots to it.
Yeah.
So I guess I could say to people, I'm coming back to Detroit. It's going to be between now and a year, but I'll be there all the time before the year is up, because I have programming to do. And I'm looking for some special stuff out of Detroit. Let's say it like that. I'm looking for some shit out of Detroit that's going to turn the world upside down.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to hook Philadelphia and Detroit together with different horn players, drummers, bass players. I'm trying to do something unique again with us, called real collaboration of people that don't know each other.
Yeah.
Ralph would probably cost me an arm and a leg, Ralph Armstrong, but approach Ralph. Because whatever we come up with, guess what? It ain't gonna be nothing but our Ralph Armstrong. There's a bunch of people in my head. I got a bunch of stuff written, man. And you know me, I'm dyslexic. I turn words around a little bit. That's why my poetry comes out when I read it the way I read it. And you know how it is when I read it when it comes to music behind it. It comes out amazing. But I'm looking for young poets that sing. I'm looking for young singers that love poetry to grab a hold of my work and help me put this stuff out. But I don't want to hear my voice reading it, a lot of it anymore. I want to hear young voices reading it. I want what Shakespeare didn't get.
Yeah.
I want to hear young people doing my work, not hoping that I'm going to read every. And I'm 72. I got another 6 years to live. However you want to put it,
Yeah.
But I don't got no ass to shake on stage no more.
Right.
I want to see some young people fall in love with what I do, and let me fall in love with how they embrace it, and allow them to take it and go and make songs. And I want to go to the Grammys and the Oscars, but I want to go through my youth.
Yes, sir.
I want to go, and if any of us old heads want to jump on stage with them and work out some pieces, fine. But some of the voices I want to hear is the youth.
Yes, sir.
And I'll be honest with you, man, I almost came to tears saying it, man, but, my legacy, man, God bless her, man. I wish she was still here.
Yeah.
Legacy was, in my opinion...
Yeah, she got a birthday coming up November the 5th.
She does?
Yeah.
Wow, thank you. I'll light a candle.
Yes, sir.
In my own proverbial way.
Yeah. I got a big old picture of her over here on my altar.
No, she was my baby girl.
Yeah.
When she used to be at poetry readings and stuff like that, and it's late, and she's still in high school, not even in college yet, I used to hang around to make sure, because I knew she was there. Yeah. And I said, Legacy, let me ride you home. She says, oh, thank you, Baba. That sweet voice she had.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a voice like her. And I would take her home and make sure that she walked up to the door and her parents opened that door. And then she finally moved into the same building I moved into after she had been to college and stuff. And greatest neighbor ever when it came to collaboration with talking about poetry and photography and stuff like that. So it's our youngsters. I'm pretty sure Aurora Harris got a bunch of people that might want to take some of my stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you do too.
Yeah.
Because see, at this point, I'm going to have a bunch of different collaborations. And Bilal, collaborating with you is like something I'm very looking forward to doing.
Well, I appreciate that, brother.
And not just you, JD as well.
Yes, sir.
Let's do this. Let me stumble through this poem.
Okay.
And I actually wrote this for a witch. Not that I was heads over heels in love or anything like that, but I'm writing about how my spirit intermingled with this one particular person, but this goes for how the heart feels, and it's kind of off the chart of what we were actually talking about.
This is in pure form of what I do. This is improvisational. And like I said, well, this whole production, the production company I came up with is called Wizard of Iz Productions. It's like the Wizard of Iz. Like, you take whatever is available in the present and makes magic out of it. And then the name of the movies and the videos that I produce is called Monk Crooked Pictures. That's the movie. And the theme was based off of Monk used to have pictures on his wall. Thelonious Monk, Thelonious Fear Monk, his full name, used to have pictures on his wall, and they were crooked. And people used to try to straighten them out. He used to be like, no, don't straighten them out, leave them like they are. That's how they supposed to be. So I took that as reading that. I said, Monk didn't want to conform to this world and how they always said everything got to be this way or that. And so that's why I adopted the name Monk's Crooked Pictures.
Sweet. I love it. I love it.
Not wanting to conform to society's norms. And so you're right in line with everything. So go right ahead, brother, and shoot us with that poem.
Okay, this is a work in progress, and it's called You, My Beautiful Witch. You bring me the magic that will free the universe to a place of one. You, my friend, I think are a force that keeps me on point. That all I see is a love, a friend, a mate that will bring all this to the point called love. I think of you, I see a powerful merging. I see a passion-filled union that shows two who love each other with passion's love and all respect. When I see you, I am full of passion, mixed emotions for you. And yes, I see the way others seem to try and make you look as almost like a child gravitates. You gravitate me and I say, come to me if you can, love, as your man. As your man, and if not, come to me as your brother who loves you like a sister. Just don't let the world fuck with you, for you know who you are, strong. Under all the fear you feel, that fear that is only there to keep you from everything. Do not let fear control you. Stand, my wife. I will be there with you as your friend and family. You, my beautiful witch. One. You are one. My witch. Your eyes are open. It's a beautiful world. No, the crow wasn't part of the poem.
Yes, it was, brother. Yes, it was. That was deep, yo. That was right on point.
And that's a work in. That's literally. I mean, that's literally a work in progress. You know. It is. It just was, and it's still not done. You know, but for this particular moment, it's done. You know, so like when I do a free verse, I never hear that poem again. If I don't write it down, that was only for those particular people.
Yeah.
You know, I used to do that at Dupas a lot. You remember Dupas that Mildred had?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to do a lot of open, off my heart type of things. Here's another one. It doesn't even have a title or anything written on it. I'm going through some files that This is stuff I've never read before, and some of this stuff I've only written and never read it again until like this moment.
Okay.
Sometimes I read a poem, and sometimes I just want to say in words, magic. I'll never read free again. So I spit words that my spirit feels and tell the truth that we are real in our actions. I spit a life I have lived. My family has lived, my people and our African and Native American brothers have lived. I spit words that all men and our queens, our children, our families are safe, that they are safe and equally safe. I spit words for mankind to become open with his eyes that see a truth, letting in compassion without any type of supremacy from anywhere or anyone. Sometimes I mourn and skit and scat with jazz on my lips, and with someone I skit jazz with someone, with everyone, and it don't get no better to wear the funk. It don't get no better because funk and grit is in most music, and I want to bring it to all free verse in my mind, because I'm skitting and I scat jazz. I spit these words that come forth out of my mind. I pull these things out of my soul and spit them towards the universe, hoping that she will throw back in her loving way of saying God in all languages want us free. Sometimes I read poems and they turn into free verse that will not come back to anyone except those who really listen with not their ears, but their mind, spirit, and soul. And I spit these words and I say, we are free with free verse that frees our soul.
Amen, brother.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, brother. I'm going to end right there, man.
That's a good point.
That's a good point to stop at, you know?
It will. And that poem, I just added the second part to it as we were reading, because that poem ended where I said, and I want to bring it all to a free verse in my mind. That's where, because this is definitely this is a work in progress. It doesn't have a number or a title or anything on it. Yeah. But when we go back to this, I'll write the second part into it, because that second part was literally free verse off of my spirit.
That's what's
so
up.
In other words, you got some original spitting at you.
Yes, sir. Well, I got a title for this already. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to surprise you with it.
Okay.
But I thank you, brother.
Yeah, and I just want to say, in ending, to my brothers and sisters in Detroit and Philly, especially Detroit and Philly, especially my poets, my musicians, my writers. I said it earlier. Let's come together.
Yes, sir.
And let's make Detroit's original name.
Yes, sir.
Before it became a part of this thing.
Yes, sir.
Let's bring Detroit to the map. We don't need to bring Detroit back, because Detroit is where it is.
Yeah.
Let's bring Detroit back.
Yeah. Back to Anisha Shabe that was here.
Yes. Yes. So come with your honesty, come with your passion, and Bilal, when I do get home for good, we'll be spending a lot of time together.
Building and creating. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, with that, I'll say good night to everyone.
All right, brother.
All right, and I guess we can end this interview. I got a couple of things I need to get to here on this end of the
Okay.
country.
All right,
And
brother.
all right, my love to you, your family, and
Likewise, beloved.
all my artists in Detroit.
Yes, sir.
Good night. Good night,
All
Bilal.
right, peace.
Peace, brother.
In the future, I want to feel the 78s and 33s. Rewind cassettes, jukebox, flip the 45s, insert CDs. I want the vibe to be mind-boggling, like the first time I had Red Pop, Rock and Rye or Better Maids. Family like ice cream makers and gumball machines, lightsabers and laser beams. I want Monk, Miles, Parker, Coltrane, Bluetooth in my living room. I want TV to go off like it used to, so I can sleep through. Zoom, zoom. I want all my relatives to be relative to the here and now. Alternative parallel timeline where Wakanda is the earth. Women are glorious to men again, and they have no pain giving birth. I want the heavens to be where we freely roam, texting our lovers on intergalactic cell phones. The whole planet is psychedelics whenever we want to get gone. Then, in a silent way, we return to a feather on our maiden voyage round about midnight.